What is going on, YouTube? It is my first video ever. I decided to go ahead and vlog today. As you see, I got a beautiful black executive package M550 here. Had it for a few months so far, and I must say, despite the research I did on this car, it is beautiful. All right, so don't mind the mess under here. Like I mentioned, I just had warranty work done. This problem child right here is the reservoir, one of the reservoirs, the primary. There is a secondary. On this in particular model, I'm not certain where it is. Yeah, there's a secondary tank on the F90 on the passenger side, but I'm assuming that tank is no, this is not it. It's somewhere else in here. Anyway, so they issued it was a recall at the time because initially the recall was about the injectors, but it was simply because there was something that failed on the injectors. I think it was the cushion that goes in with them or something that was failing. So it was for a different reason. There was a few people that obviously had this issue where your reservoir itself is leaking, or the expansion tank, however you want to call it, is leaking. And if you notice the positioning, your two turbos are over here. So you got heat, and then it's sitting on top of the engine itself, so that's another source of heat. And then your spark plugs and injectors are right underneath this guy, specifically spark plugs cylinders 6, 7, and 8 are right underneath this reservoir directly. Not to say cylinder 5 can't be affected. As I was told, the coolant can get inside the lines, the electrical lines, and still spread and affect the other injectors in this bank. So typically, like they tell you in general, if you change one, you might as well change them all. As I had the problem initially, I had a problem with cylinder 6. Not done through BMW because I was unaware of the extended warranty. The extended warranty was implemented in December of 2024 for this problem. Obviously, that's a design flaw. It's a plastic 2-piece reservoir, which is bound to fail at some point. And once that happens, it leaks coolant right down into your injectors, causes them to fail. And you get the famous drivetrain malfunction. So today we're going to be rectifying that. Look that up. It is a bulletin that your local dealership should have. It's only usable once, so which is why we're doing this today, because I have had my injectors changed. Man, it is a mess in here, but I'll have my injectors changed. They changed all 4 on this side, cylinders 5, 6, 7, and 8. The code was for only cylinder 7 at the time, but it was warranty, and they were able to see that there was coolant contamination all throughout of this side, because initially I had this fitting here go dry rot on me. Now if you notice, you can see the discoloration on this fitting, and there's another fitting down here that we'll get to, but this one is brand new because I changed that. But sometime in the future, this will need to be changed. You see it's changing color. There is another item that I found. It's basically a tray. It's a case that this thing sits in, and it diverts the coolant from falling directly down and diverts it to a different so it falls somewhere else, doesn't contaminate your other important parts. Because I mean, it's one thing to replace a reservoir. A reservoir is only 260. Keep in mind, they do not sell the reservoir with the cap, but about $260 out the door for the reservoir and the cap is way better than paying, because this is not a hard swap. So it's sitting right here on top. You got 2 bolts right here on top. I don't think there's any underneath. You take this plug out. I know the traditional way is to drain the coolant completely out, but I'd rather not. So what we're going to do is we will have a little bit of coolant to deal with, but it's only going to be what's in this reservoir. We're not going to drain the entire system. We're going to use some clamps that I simply got from Amazon, 2, and there's one down here. We're gonna swap them, try to save as much coolant as we can, and refill it. All this coolant in there is fresh. It was just put in because of the job I had done, so should be a pretty straightforward process. Off the rip, I do notice that this plug has been kind of broken, because it comes straight up like this and it's technically still plugged in. There's damage to the wire. I don't know how I feel about that. The wire is kind of exposed there. If it'll focus. I don't like that. Okay. But yeah, we'll be dealing with this today. There is a secondary battery up here. I believe that's for, you know, your auxiliary lights and the ambient lighting on the inside and stuff of that nature. And then you have your main battery in the trunk. So you disconnect the main battery, and, you know, remove the DME. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to also more than likely remove this bar and intake box. If I'm not yeah, we might have to do that. I wonder, is the DME? So let's get started. All right, y'all, this is the DME. Without taking off this bar, you gotta do a little bit of wiggling. Remember, it is plastic. Try not to break anything. Now, as you see, there's already a crack there. I didn't do that, but there is a crack there. Just be very careful with this. We're moving this completely out of the way, so we want no possibility of contamination in this DME. So we're gonna set this back here with the battery in the trunk. All right, so next, now that we got the DME out of the way, we're gonna try to tuck things. We have to take this off, and we're gonna clamp off our hoses. This is the hose underneath that I was referring to. So, yeah, we're gonna take care of that next. I'm gonna get somewhere to put this so we can try to catch the coolant that's in there. All right, guys, I want to reiterate the importance of this. Notice I have my line, 2 of my lines clamped off. I'm gonna clamp off this 3rd one right here, but I wanted to stop for a second and show you guys what I'm doing. Obviously, I pointed out already the reason for this swap out I'm doing. Now, granted, I'm not swapping to a aluminum reservoir just yet. Those are about $1,000, so I'm gonna wait a little bit before I buy that. But in the meantime, I do have a replacement, supposedly upgraded version of this from BMW, which is the price that I was referring to, about 200 bucks, 250 bucks. But remember, we're trying to avoid anything getting down here where the coil packs are, the injectors. We don't want any coolant going in the heads, none of that. We want no contamination. So the most you could probably do to protect from that situation is what you should do. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't ask for help, because at the end of the day, if I spill coolant down in here, I'll be causing the same problem that I'm trying to avoid in Just Had Fix warranty. We don't want any of that happening right now. So that's what I'm doing, which is not adequate by itself. So I have a cotton cloth towel. Anything that should fall will be caught. And then I also have these microfiber towels that I'm going to be using to plug the holes as I pull up the reservoir. Then I have a bag that I'm going to, these are kind of dirty. I don't know if I'm going to use these. Try to use some of these towels to make sure we don't spill. And also, I have this right here. It's a little kitty litter box, but I have it in a bag, so because I don't want any contamination in this coolant. I may or may not reuse it. I do have a bottle of coolant over there, but this was just topped off, so this coolant, there should be nothing wrong with this coolant, so we'll be trying to reuse. All right, so I'll get back with y'all shortly after I make some more progress. Let me get this thing clamped off fully, and I got my pick tool, and I'm going to be popping these tabs and trying to release this reservoir. Reservoir's out. This is the surgery table here. We did have a little bit of coolant come out, caught it best we could, but luckily I have this towel and bag underneath it, keeping it from getting down where we don't want it to be. Towel is soaking it up. So far, taking a look underneath, nothing got down, so we're in good shape. Only thing left to do now, fellas and gents and ladies, is we're gonna come over here. So if you see here, this is a OEM, supposedly upgraded. I mean, it feels very sturdy. So does the old one. So that doesn't mean much, but as you see, right in these seams here. So we're not gonna treat this one any differently. We're gonna maintain our eyes on this reservoir, regardless of it being brand new, and we're gonna make sure that we don't have this problem again. Now in the future, I have some things going on in life, but in the future, when things are more possible, I don't mind spending $1,000 on the fix for that, which is the aluminum tank, which should solve that issue. There is still a fail point, as you see here. I mentioned already, these fittings right here go bad. I've replaced this one. This one is starting to brown, so we know that one's on its way out. And this one doesn't look as bad, but you know, normally those are fail points as well. So we're still not in the green. We still have something to keep our eye on, but we are minimizing it by starting with a fresh tank after we just had this warranty work done. So we want to protect our injectors at this point, because I can't have that bulletin done a second time, as I was instructed by BMW. So we want to make sure that that was a one-time deal. I also asked another reputable company about this, and m550 injectors normally don't have an issue anyway, especially not at this one. This one's mileage is only 66,000, so this one's relatively young still. Shouldn't be having any issues with no injectors. As we see, it was because of that leaky tank, of which I chose not to have them fix that. Things aren't cheap. They wanted 700 bucks. The thing only cost 200, and 3 hoses and two torque screws, and it's out of there. It's right here on top. Why not take care of it ourselves, you know, save some money? But all right, let me get this new one on, and then after I get it on, I'm going to be trying to decide whether I want to reuse, or how I want to go about reusing said coolant in that tank, in the lines. I just don't know where it's at, but there's a secondary tank. Don't know if that's it in the front. I have to do some more research on it, but initially we do still have coolant in the car, but I'm either going to refill with fresh out of the bottle, but this stuff is, you know, it's very fresh. I don't see no reason why we can't reuse it. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. All right, so we have our new cap here, brand new. Honestly, I mean, as petty as it is, go ahead and get it if you're buying a new one. You know, it will certainly suck for that to be the part where it's leaking from when you change it. So just start with new on new. I mean, hey, that's just my opinion. I got a new cap, got the new reservoir in place. It is bolted down. Currently probably still empty. System's not pressurized. So whatever coolant's in the lines hasn't flowed on its own into the tank just yet. I'm going to continue putting stuff back together. I feel like I should probably try to refill it before I put the DME back. I don't know. I'm gonna have to call a friend and make sure I'm doing this the best way I could. That's what we're in the process of doing. We're basically gonna be putting everything back together. I haven't put the DME or nothing back yet. I'm gonna put some coolant in the tank. Just go ahead and get it out the way while nothing is in here. I'm still gonna cover with this towel. I don't want to spill nothing. And honestly, guys, just be responsible. Use a funnel. Jesus. Nobody's giving you cool points for being able to pour straight. But put your blanket around her. You know, put a bib on her. You know, you see what I'm saying? You know, obviously that's a little blind. I'm gonna have to double check along the way.
There's no air in the system. So as you see, I don't know if y'all can
just yet. I felt like the process it would have took would have been borderline spilling some, take that same coolant and funnel it back in there to reuse for later times, as long as it's nothing in there. And as you can see, people, you can hear that I ain't got no exhaust or nothing, but she's purring, running good. So but thank y'all for tuning in. Quick little DIY on green. It looks like another black and like a white one all the way in the back. Cap back on.